Hey guys, my name's Colin. I live on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and I wanted to show you guys my land-based shark fishing setup. And a lot of the other stuff you're going to see on YouTube is much larger than my setup. The reels are a lot bigger, they have a lot more line, and that's for the East Coast. You don't need ridiculous amounts of line or a ridiculous sized winch reel. I call them winches because the bigger senators are just winches. The line retrieve rate's not that fast, and you pretty much just winch the fish in. All you need is a reel that's going to hold just about 1,000 yards. That's the highest I would go. 1,000 yards of 65-pound braid, and that's about it. I wouldn't go higher on the braid either. I have a Penn squal 60 wide, and I've used it for just under a year, and I have had no complaints except for I did drop it in sand and water, and it went under the sand and water. I was out paddling a bait, and my rod holder got knocked over by someone on the beach. And they didn't pick it up either, which pissed me off, but that's what happened. I got it serviced, and it works fine. It was $40 to get it serviced because the bearings rusted, but that was me because I didn't have the money to get serviced right away. So I have Top Shot on top of my 650 yards of 65-pound mono, and I've got 20 yards of 100-pound mono right now. I'm sorry, 650 yards of 65-pound braid, not mono. I have 20 yards of mono on top. I need to put another 20 yards of about 150-pound mono on, and that is for stretch and abrasion resistance. Shark skin is abrasive, and I have lost sharks using 100-pound mono by their tails hitting the mono. And you can see it on the mono. You can see that it's kind of scratched up. Looks like it was rubbing against a rock, but it's the fish because it happens almost every time when the shark jumps. The spinner sharks here and even the black tip sharks here jump. Now I have about 7 foot of wire and then a 9/0 circle hook. And it's a wide gap Ohiro wide gap circle hook. And I have high hookup ratio with this. I do hook up quite often. I don't always get the fish in because I haven't had the money to put on any more line. I am flat broke, don't have a job, I'm getting one. It's going to be fixed. But this hook, for the past maybe 6 or 7 trips, it's been in the water, I've caught fish on it. It has no rust, no problems, hasn't bent. They're not 8-foot fish, they're 4 or 5-foot fish, they're small fish, but it is what it is. My weight is a 3-ounce pyramid sinker. It goes on my main line free. There's no knot, it just slides on my main line. The reason for that is because it allows the shark to pick up the bait and not feel tension from the weight right away. For some reason, this system that I have seems to work pretty good compared to the people that have the egg sinkers right on their main line. That little piece of hardware that allows it to sit lower on the main line lets that egg sinker, not the egg, the pyramid sinker, sink into the sand and hold a lot better in my experience. Your bait, you want to get fresh bait. Anytime you can, you want to get fresh bait, and anything fresh is good. Now onto my rod. My rod, coupled with this reel, it looks good aesthetically, and also my favorite thing about this rod is the guides have no inserts. They're just solid metal guides. They have not rusted. Like I said, I've been using it for just under a year, and I've used it frequently. They have not rusted. They don't bend whatsoever, and as long as you rinse them off, they shouldn't rust because they are stainless steel inserts. No, not inserts, stainless steel guides. And the whole rod is a 7-foot rod. I believe it's 60 to 80-pound line. It doesn't bend a lot on a little fish, but on a decent 6-foot fish, it's going to bend, and I like the way it feels when I fight a fish. When you're picking out a rod, it's all personal preference, and it's like I said, it's personal preference. I really can't talk much about that because it is so much personal preference. Back to baits. Your bait, you want to get fresh bait. No matter what it is, you want to get fresh bait. If it's a large pin that you you can't really chunk a pin, but if it's a large pin that you throw out live off a boat, you can use this rod. You just take off the take off the weight and put on a bobber, and you can shark with it. And if you're on land, you really don't want to use a live pin, but you want to try to get not live bait, fresh bait. You want to get a big mullet and chunk it, or ladyfish and put it on whole. If it's dead, doesn't matter. As long as it's fresh, it's good. Now, if you cannot get fresh bait, I would stop at your tackle shop, see if they have bonita or a whole jack you can get. Your frozen bait is nowhere near as good for catching fish. I've caught 1 or 2 sharks on frozen bait. The rest is all fresh. I don't know, I mean, it does make sense, but you can have the nastiest smelling frozen bait, but the shark is still going to pick the fresh bait. They know what they're eating, they know what they want to eat. My advice to you is just use fresh bait if you can. Now, just to conclude, your setup does not need to be crazy. You don't need to have more than 1,000 yards of line on the Gulf Coast. You can keep it small. You can keep it aesthetically pleasing, because I don't like the bigger reels. I don't like a 14-aught center on a rod. I think that is very ugly. But that's personal preference. I can take shit for it. I don't care. I like the way my setup looks. I like the way it feels. This is all my personal preference. It's just, if you guys want to use it, go ahead. You're free to. Thank you for watching.